Abdul Qadir Khan once said, "We have a safe and good command and control system. Nobody can take away any nuclear weapon from Pakistan." Keep this in mind as we discuss today Pakistan's refusal to grant access to the US to have a drone base on Pakistani soil. My name is Dr. David Oualaalou.
And my name is Dr. Ross Stewart.
And you are watching Geopolitics in Conflict.
As always, we want to thank you for the intelligent feedback you give us, and the information you share with us is so helpful in us understanding what's really going on in the world.
Well, indeed, Ross, those comments are very, very informative. We thank you so much for that. We also take this opportunity to thank our Patreon members. So we thank you for your support, and for you, if you like our videos and you want to support us, consider joining our Patreon membership. So, thank you again.
It actually looks like the United States is going to pull its troops out of
Afghanistan. That's correct. That's what
I'm holding my breath, actually.
That's what they say, right?
Well, it actually looks like it might happen. And we all hope it really does.
Yeah.
And what the United States wanted to do is have some base in the area for its drones to patrol the area to see what's really going on, see if they need to rush back in and save Kabul.
Yeah.
Well, guess who said no?
Who?
Pakistan.
Well, Pakistan is an ally of the U.S.
Well, maybe.
We'll see, right?
Maybe, yeah, really, maybe. Anyway, they said no, and probably for some very, very good reasons. What's your take on this?
Well, that's correct, Russ. But before we start, how about if we just provide a brief history about Pakistan?
Good idea.
So, it's all started for Pakistan on August 24, 1947. That's when they get independence. But Pakistan goes way back some tens of thousands of years. That's how old that civilization is on. So it was in 1947 when they get the independence from the Brits after the partition of India. So that's when it all started. And it was in 1956 when they introduced in the Constitution the new name, the official name of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, as it is known today, with Islamabad being the capital. So that is one of the brief history of it. What's interesting about Pakistan is that they all speak English there, because English is the official language, believe it or not.
How fascinating is that?
That is correct. So just to go back to your question, what does it mean, this refusal of Pakistan? Well, it means a lot. It means a lot from all aspects, politically, economically, or even socially. And psychologically, if I may add that as well. Well, the reason for that, and we're going to get into the details as to what it all means and so forth as we move into our conversation.
Well, Pakistan has relied on American funds for a long time to keep afloat. But now they've said, we're not accepting a base for you guys.
Yeah. Well, this one is because, first of all, we have to understand why Pakistan is refusing this. And they're refusing or denying access to the U.S. because the current prime minister, which Imran Khan, has campaigned on anti-drone policy. So it will not look good if he will allow the U.S. a base to operate, which means he's not going to want to anger the Pakistani people. So, second thing has to do with the drone program that's been conducted before, a couple of years back. There were about 400 mission that was conducted that killed over 1,000 civilians. And this is based on the Bureau of Investigative Journalists. And we will have a link for you to see those stats because it's been reported on that.
Remarkably unacceptable.
Yeah, so Imran Khan is thinking in terms of, no. I got to think about the welfare of Pakistan. Let alone, there are two other main issues that he had to consider when making those decisions. Well, one of them is Taliban, and the other one is China. So, and we're going to detail each one of them separately. Why is the Taliban? Because Taliban, as of yesterday, they just run over 3 towns in the southeastern part of the country.
Very close to
The border.
Pakistan, yeah.
So, and I'm not going to be surprised that maybe by the end of the year, Taliban will run over Kabul, because they are controlling majority of provinces as we speak. So that's one. And second thing, the Taliban also warned neighboring countries from they warned them, do not allow or do not open your
bases and
bases for the U.S. So when Taliban warns you like that, you can only imagine why Imran Khan decided, because he doesn't want to run the wrath of the Taliban.
Well, do you think the Taliban are proven fighters after 20 years of defeating Russia and the United States?
Well, we couldn't defeat them, so. But here is the thing. What a lot of people do not know, that even within Pakistan, it's a tribal society.
Yeah.
And Taliban do have a presence in that country, very strong. As a matter of fact, there have been some reports as far as the ISI, the Inner Service Intelligence of Pakistan, supporting the Taliban. So they're not going to want to anger the Taliban by allowing the U.S. to operate drones there. And the second issue has to do with China. Why is that important, you may ask? It's because China is considered the lifeline, the financial lifeline for Pakistan.
When you take a look at the amount of investment that China already has, and how much investment they've promised in the near future.
Exactly. And we're going to do a show about the Gwadar port, which with all the investments from China. We're going to do a show on that one. So, in my opinion, and this is my personal views, Imran Khan's decision is a strategic one. I'll compare it to the same one that South Korea made with not joining the Quad. Just in this case for Pakistan, doesn't want to open its territory for a U.S. base, nor they want to allow their airspace to be used for that.
Let me ask you a military question.
Certainly.
What good are the drones to the United States, even if they do find a base for them somewhere in the region?
Well, usually if you are closer to the target, whatever the target is, that gives you, it gives you intelligence, it gives you information without getting into the details of what the capabilities of the drones. And mind you that the United States has some very, very sophisticated drone programs. So our drones are not your average, they are very, very sophisticated. The challenge for the United States right now, that if they don't have one close by, the closest area is going to be now in the Middle East. But you can just take into consideration the flight time.
Oh, yeah.
The geography, the repair, the maintenance, and all that stuff. So this is why the United States wants to have Pakistan agree. And I do not foresee Pakistan will allow its territory to be used.
Do you think that the drones are actually the U.S. saying, if Kabul gets in trouble, we're going to rush right back in?
Actually, there is that possibility. And I would not be surprised the U.S. will do that. So it's because it's I'm not being pessimistic here, whatever. I'm being realistic. It's a foregone conclusion that Afghani forces, there is no way they can maintain that posture against the Taliban. Taliban is a force that they're fighters. As one who spent time in that part of the world, I get to learn about the Taliban and their capabilities. But remind you that Taliban is not some homey group just wandering. It's backed by some solid backers. When I say solid backers, I'm referring to governments here, without naming names here. So that's how they back, because they can't have that access to their weapons just by going to a black market and buy those RPGs. No, they got some sophisticated weapons that been provided by some governments.
Well, I think the United States used to provide the wisdom weapons when the Russians were in there.
Yes, we did. We did train them. As a matter of fact, it was the United States that provided them the Stingers missile, which is a shoulder missile that was able to bring down all the Russian helicopters. That's how the Taliban end up winning over the Russians. If it weren't for those Stinger missiles, no, the outcome would have been different. But we all know what came after that. So,
Well, you said it in the opening. Pakistan is a nuclear power.
well, that's correct. So
when did they come into being as a nuclear power?
that was right after India conducted its test in, I think, 1998. So in May 28, if I'm not mistaken, Pakistan conducted 5 tests, and on May 30th conducted the 6th. So, and this is why when you look at and it's a declared nuclear states, you have, there are about 9 countries. You have the and I'm going to give them in order of the amount of nuclear warheads. So you got Russia, United States, France, China, UK, Pakistan, India, Israel, North Korea.
Very good.
They go in that order. So all of them are declared state except Israel, of course, because Israel has what's called the policy of ambiguity or opacity, that is, which means they cannot confirm or deny. North Korea withdrew from the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty, in about 2003, if I'm not mistaken, 2004. And the rest of between just the United States and Russia, they have about 90%. Russia has about 6,883, if I'm not mistaken. United States has few nuclears less than that. France has about 400, if I'm not mistaken. China about 300. UK 299. Pakistan has about between 140 and 160. India has about between 135 and 140. Israel, even though it says has between 20 and 40, that's not accurate. And North Korea has between 20 and 30, and even for North Korea has more than that.
Pakistan has done this in kind of an amazing way because the United States doesn't know where their sites are. They don't know where the nukes are hidden.
Well, that's an interesting point, Ross, because that is one of is driving the Americans crazy, because we couldn't know where the sites are. We have no clue. And we have no clue even about the amount of nuclear warheads they have. So, and thanks to Abdul Qadir Khan, that's considered the father of Pakistan's nuclear. And this is why nobody could do anything to him, especially after 2004, when he was put on house arrest for sharing or selling the technology to Iran, Libya, and North Korea. So it was Pervez Musharraf at the time that has to put him in house arrest, but not turn him over to the Americans. So, well, one thing about Pakistan's nuclear capabilities, and this is why nobody can attack Pakistan. You get to be crazy if you do that. And this is why India will have to think twice about engaging.
It's probably prevented a war between those two countries.
I think so. After the last one, the last major war they had, it wasn't pretty.
Right.
So I think having that deterrence, and this is why they go in tit for tat when it comes down to the armaments. And this is why you're noticing right now as we speak, Russia and China and the United States are all of them arming both countries. The recent one that I'm aware of is that India wanted to buy some drones from the United States. So, and I'm like, wait a minute, you got serious domestic issues to deal with. As a matter of fact, in India, they just had a breakout of a disease. It's called the black fungal. Or some, I don't even know what that is.
Fungal diseases are really a disaster.
It's called the black. 40,000 people died in one small area. So they got India, and I'm not criticizing India here. It's just India has some serious domestic issues to deal with, rather than spending money on armaments. On the other hand, the counter argument to that, and I see the logic of it, you cannot let Pakistan as the advantage, militarily speaking. So that's why they're keeping up with this, with each other.
Well, do you see the United States withdrawing any of its monetary support for Pakistan if they refuse to take the drones? Because the United States puts a lot of money into Pakistan.
We did give a lot of money. You're talking about probably $10 billion a year, taxpayers' money. They don't even know, we didn't even know where the money ends up.
Right.
You know, mind you that, and I'm not going to shy away from saying this, there's some corruption going on in the Pakistani government. So that's not a news, that's not surprising. You know, I have a close friends of Pakistani descent, wonderful people, very smart people, very capable. Pakistan has that, because remember, within a few years, Pakistan is going to surpass about 300 million people.
Well, right now it's 208 million, and their birth rate is astronomical.
Yeah, so it's going to be a major force that you have to consider. And they do have some, it's just unfortunately, they are not using their resources to benefit the country as a whole. So,
well, basically, it's a very poor country.
yeah, it is. They are involved in some agriculture on a larger scale. But the deal they have now with China regarding Gwadar port, which we're going to talk about in our next video, it's really opened up the door for
That
Pakistan.
holds great hope.
Big deal
for
big deal.
Pakistan. We'll
And
talk about it next.
Yeah, I really wish Pakistan can move forward with what they need to do on this realm. So yes, we do provide them, and yes, this is when Imran Khan now is caught between the U.S., between China, Taliban. What he's going to do? Because if he does not, then that means there will be less support from international institutions for assistance to Pakistan. If he does, then the locals, the masses, people in Pakistan is not going to like it, and most likely he'll be out of the office, or they even kick him out of the office. Let alone how the Taliban is going to react to that inside Pakistan. Because what Pakistan does not want, it does not want attacks internally. And the Taliban are capable of doing that kind of stuff. So,
What would you say is the takeaway for our viewers?
well, the challenge for us is to understand now, what are we going to do with the withdrawal from Afghanistan? You know, is it our problems, shall we say? You know,
Right.
You know, it's kind of after 20 years, what do you have to show for?
How have the American people
Benefited from it.
from the continuing 20-year waste of trillions of dollars that could be used internally in the United States?
And we do have serious issues to deal with.
Serious issues to deal with.
Infrastructure, healthcare, education, you name it.
You name it.
So, and your economic well-being could be a part of that conversation also.
That's probably the biggest takeaway.
It is indeed.
And the United States is continuing to try to put drones around it, ready to jump back in
Yeah.
and waste more money and divert it from things that we really need here at home. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other videos. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
And as always, stay informed. Till next time. Bye-bye.